Good evening and welcome to the Game of Two Halves podcast powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We are into our 14th episode this year. It's our 5th season and our 114th episode overall. My name's Tonchi Prusak and it is an absolute pleasure to be with you here tonight, as it is every Monday night. And man, have we got a massive show tonight. An absolute perler of an episode, an epic episode, without a doubt. Folks, tonight we've got 3 guests. We've also got a massive announcement, which we will be making, of course, to keep you in suspense a little bit later on in the show. But if you've been following all our social media postings today, you are well aware of who our 3 guests are tonight. And gee, is it going to be a tantalising array of guests. In our global game, we've got a very interesting fellow. His name's ADRIAN Brawn, I should say. He's a sports psychologist in the UK who has worked with a lot of EPL Premier League clubs and players as well. The interview goes for about 15-16 minutes. It's pre-recorded, but it has got a very good message for any young footballer. I guess it doesn't matter what level they're at, whether they want to aspire to be an international superstar, playing senior football locally in the NPL, VPL, women's, or even just the state league, or if it's just a young player who's very talented, not necessarily at football. It could be school, could be academia, or could be some other talent. But it's got a very compelling message. That's coming up in the global game. And then after that, it's the local game. Today, we will be speaking with the newly appointed president of the Geelong Rangers Soccer Club, TIM SANTALUCA. Tim's going to be joining us, and unfortunately, on a bad note, Geelong Rangers has been hit by some heinous acts of vandalism in a recent weeks, and Tim will tell us all about that. But the good news is the club is recovering thanks to a lot of hardworking volunteers and the wider community as well. But what exactly was that act of vandalism? Folks, stay tuned and you'll find out. NATALIE PICAK is a young girl who only started playing football about 5-6 years ago, and she's risen up the ranks from North Geelong Juniors, Geelong Galaxy Juniors, and now is playing senior football in the NPLW competition with Calder United. She's a young goalkeeper, and we've got some footage of her strutting her stuff. And just one word, the commentator gets very excited. But we'll be speaking to NATALIE a little bit later on. She's only 18, but she's got a massive future ahead of her in the world game. And coincidentally, it's the week of the Women's World Cup kicking off on Thursday. And it is going to be one massive show. And certainly I, for one, cannot wait for that. It should be very exciting. And in the meantime, here's some footage courtesy of the Matilda's official Facebook page from last Friday's international friendly between Australia and France at the Marvel Stadium. It was a record crowd. Well, temporarily, or only temporarily, because this Thursday, that crowd figure is going to be absolutely smashed. Were you at the game? We'd love to find out what your experiences were. Pop it in the comments section, and some of the best comments we may even read out on air tonight. Folks, here is some footage from last Friday night's blockbuster friendly at Marvel Stadium.
In the history of women's football in Australia, 50,629 the official attendance.
The crowds at home just keep getting better and better, and they're really going to get us over the line in this World Cup, so I think they're very important. I think they need to know that. We always knew that the home crowd would give us energy, but I don't think you really know until you step out into a field and you're listening to the national anthem and belting it out, and so is the rest of the crowd, and everything you do just gets a big cheer, and it really does give you energy, and it does give you that extra boost. You just feel like you can run all day.
Great getting everyone around, sold out stadium, good influence on all the girls, great seeing everyone here, good vibes, good people, up the Aussie!
A lot of colour, a lot of excitement, and that is just the start of things to come. Are we ready for the expected explosion of football by juniors, girls, boys, and women, men? Are we ready here in Geelong? We'd love to know your thoughts. Like I said, pop them in the comments section. We'd love to get a real interactive feel happening tonight. But certainly we are an AFL town. We know that. We're always up against it. But I tell you what, we have nonetheless got a very vibrant football community, and I mean soccer community here in Geelong. Folks, it's time now for the global game.
It's Ray from Euro Football Star. We're coming live from Taksim Square in Istanbul. The weather is beautiful today. We've got lots of sunshine. It's nice and warm. We're very excited. We've got a special guest joining us live today, all the way from the UK. Now, I'm going to introduce you to ADRIAN BRAWN. Good afternoon, or yes, good afternoon, actually. AD, how are you?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm not bad, Ray. How are you?
Very well, mate. Sorry, I'm just getting mixed up with all the different time zones at the moment. I'm trying to work out who's where. We've done a few interviews back to Australia this morning. So just for our listeners, just to explain a little bit about AD. So AD is someone who I worked with quite a few years ago now back in the UK. We originally first met in Leicester City and Northampton Town. AD was working with the Leicester City women's team. And just a little bit about AD's background. He's also a teacher. He's also studies in sports psychology, and he's more recently been working at Northampton Town under 18. So his wealth of knowledge in the world game of football is second to none. A very highly qualified and skilled man, and I've been very fortunate to know AD for probably over 15 years now. So how's things going from your end, AD? Have you been keeping busy the past 12 months or so?
Yeah, it's been really busy. I mean, it's sort of end of season now, so it's sort of quiet down a little bit. Most of my stuff sort of now online at the moment, sort of over Zoom and stuff. But yeah, sort of ticking over, but ready to get the season started again.
That's amazing, mate. That's amazing. Now, just for all of our listeners back in Australia, we've got about 5,000 players that we work with nationally from all the major cities in Australia. We've had a few different questions pinged in for you. So you okay if I shoot the questions and see if we can get them answered for the listeners?
Yeah, it's fine.
Just talking and thinking back to your teaching background, how have you found that linked into football and in regards to your coaching? And do you think it was an advantage having a bit of a teaching background as well? And do you think it benefited in any way?
Yeah, I think it sort of benefited sort of myself and also my delivery in very much understanding sort of your ABCs and the basics you need to then progress to obviously moving on to that sort of elite level, and going sort of further afield within, not just in football, but in other sports. So, picking them up and obviously teaching them has sort of helped them progress me as sort of as a coach and a teacher.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know when we first met, we went back and we were working at Leicester City together, and I remember the changes that went through in the Premier League with the EPPP and categorising all of the academies. And I think that was one of the big things that was taken out of teaching, was designing those individual objectives for players and giving them individual objectives in training and game days. And I think that's been one of the highlights of getting teaching involved into the process of coaching.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other questions we've got as well, obviously, we've got a little bit of a sports psychology background for you, and you're still going along your journey with that. Do you feel like that's benefit, and it does benefit in any way being a coach, being able to bring that into the game?
Oh, hugely. It's it's becoming sort of more prevalent in the game, and from sort of beginning my coaching journey to sort of doing more coaching sort of badges and sort of CPD and stuff, there's a lot sort of the mental side of the game now involved in it. So it's getting coaches to think about it. But I mean, the sports psychology side for me, it hooked me into sort of where I wanted to go sort of next in my career, and sort of being a sport and exercise psychologist. And I think it's, has a huge input within the game. Players, could be brilliant, but what could then be in that place is sort of, have they got the right mindset as well to go along with that sort of technical side and tactical side of their game. And working with sort of the teams I've worked with the last season just gone, hopefully I've had a positive input in their journey and in their progression that they have.
That's amazing, mate. And actually our next question, it actually follows on from that psychology question, and it's all around mindset, and you just spoke of that. One of the questions we've had in for you was asking around mindset. Is there like one tip or one little bit of advice you can give to a young up and coming player, whether they be a girl or a boy, that they could maybe take into the game?
I'd say have that growth mindset. Don't see feedback as a form of criticism. See it in a positive light of how you can become a better player. Whether, from its coaches, parents, peers, internally as well. It's, don't see it as a negative thing or a bad thing. It's something that treat as a positive manner. Okay, right. So how am I going to get better at that? What am I going to do to be good at that, or to go and perform better there?
Yeah, that's amazing, mate. That's really good. And on our next question, which follows on a little bit again from that, these all rolling really nicely, actually. But one of the questions we've had sent in was, what are the 2 or 3 key areas do you believe to make it as a football?
I think there's got to be that there's got to be, there's got to be a technical ability, having that sort of technical ability. I think it's a strong area as well is not dwelling on sort of mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes in life, not just in sport, but just in life in general. And it's not sort of dwelling on them and thinking about them. It's about being in the present and being in the moment, focusing on that task in hand. So I think that mindset's really important to sort of help, those players. And I think that's one of them difference makers for, how come certain players might make it compared to others. Is that mindset as well. I think that's sort of really important. So I'd say technical ability, mindset, and that willingness to work hard and graft for it. And, there's many routes now sort of getting into, the elite side of the game. It's not just going through an academy sort of all your life. You can, start off in the lower leagues and build up. There's more players now coming through that way, as well as sort of coming through academies. So, it's, if you don't succeed that first time, if it's still a dream, don't give up, keep going. There's other ways of getting to the route you want to get to.
That's amazing, mate. I mean, obviously my background being in Australia on and off for the last 16 years, it's a couple of the key areas you mentioned, the areas that players, we've noticed as a company that players struggle with, their technical ability. They don't focus enough in the younger age groups on ball manipulation and that repetition. And the next one that you hit on again was one that we're really struggling with in Australia, believe it or not, is that mindset and that ability to go above and beyond. And one of the big problems that we have is that we've got a lot of success stories through our academy, sending them to Europe and getting pro scholarships. But the real reason is that those boys and girls are the ones who've been willing to go out and do 5-6 sessions a week, playing 2 matches. And if we get, unfortunately, you get a lot of players and a lot of families think you can do it just by turning up for 2 sessions a week. And we tell them there's no magic recipe to becoming a footballer. It's literally hard work, mindset, repetition, and also installing that technical ability. Now, just following on from that one, Adi, obviously we did have a link and a connection with Leicester City Women's, and we coached together. And just on the women's game, I was back in the UK in September last year. We went to see Liverpool v Everton at Anfield in front of 50,000 fans, which was just phenomenal. It blew me away at how big the game's got in the UK. And one of the questions that we got was, why do you believe the WSL, the Women's Super League, all of a sudden is probably the world leader in women's football, and why England got so successful in regards to the women's academies and the women's first teams?
I think there's a couple of reasons, I'd say. Obviously, there's more investment, from whether that through sponsorship or through sort of the FA or local FAs. There's a lot more coaching availability now to sort of women's and girls football at all levels of the game. They've started like a Wildcats at a very young age. There's that access now, whereas before, say 10 years ago, there wasn't that access for girls to continue football going into sort of middle school, secondary school, but now there's that opportunity too. A lot of clubs now, especially clubs that want to look at being sort of grassroots certified clubs, and with their local FAs, normally have to have a girls team involved. There's a lot more, I'd say, sort of RTCs or academies. I mean, it's changing for next season. So there's allowing for more, and it's giving the clubs responsibility as well into sort of putting money into the pot as such for the women's game. The opportunities have upped the ante a bit, and I'd say that, that sort of hold on, sorry, that's the dog.
That's okay. It's all good, mate. Keep going.
I'd say, it's sort of that opportunity to obviously play, and then to take it away from sort of a school setting into sort of clubs, grassroots. There's more sort of academies or development centres for girls, either with clubs or FAs as well, county FAs as well. So the opportunities are there. I'd say then another thing is, through, I think, the success that the women's team have had recently over the recent years, that's been a benefactor as well. Yeah, I'd say there's loads of different reasons to why, but it's fantastic to see the crowds they're getting now in the WSL.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I was blown away. I went and visited Liverpool's Girls Academy down in Skelmersdale as well. And even, I think back to when we were involved with the Girls Academy and the women's team at Leicester, and just the level of the players, like the girls blew me away. The level and how high they were, and the standard of football just was amazing. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed in Australia. We tend to do really well with the women's game, and the Matildas are normally very, very strong. There's a lot of Matildas playing back in Europe, but I think we're starting to drop behind a little bit again with that investment and involvement. And it's probably some key lessons learned. Now that's amazing, AD. The next question we got, and this is a really interesting one. We had a question in from some of our Italian community. I heard a point on TalkSport last week on BBC, and it was really interesting. And they were talking about the fact that there's 3 Italian teams have made all of the European finals in Inter, Roma, and Fiorentina. And the question that we got asked is this like the second coming of the Serie A, with the Italian football getting stronger again? Or is it because Italy didn't make the World Cup and those players have had a lot more rest and had downtime during the World Cup? What's your belief and background in the Italian teams all of a sudden making all 3 European finals?
I mean, I think I listened to that with Ali McCoist.
That was it.
Saying about it. Yeah, in the morning. And, it's great to see. You want as many top leagues as you can and sort of there. But I think, without sort of being there, I couldn't definitely say. But again, I think there's sort of a lot more possibly investment within the clubs themselves. There's a lot more players wanting to go and play there. Whether it's got that sort of stereotyping in a way of you can go there, sort of play your latter years of the career, and it can extend your career for going to play there because it's a different style of game. I think maybe that's sort of gone now. A lot of youngsters are sort of going there as well. I think their academies are bringing through a lot of young players that they're using, because obviously money's not as sort of fluent as it is in the English Premier League, where you can throw like 100 million at a player and it's not a bad thing, whereas I think it's a lot sort of purse strings there. So they're investing in sort of their youth players to bring through, and using that money then sort of obviously help the club. It's great to see. I loved watching the old Italian football on Channel 4 when I was a kid, so hopefully that comes back.
Yeah, I used to love that. Was it Scorio on Channel 4?
Good. Yeah, it was wicked.
It was good. And look, I actually heard that talk on TalkSport with Ali McCoist, and I thought when that was put across in the 2 arguments, I've got a very good Italian friend in Jamie Laurenti back in Brisbane, and my thoughts on it were it was a couple of reasons. One, I think the World Cup did have a knock-on effect, and 2, I think that I just think it was a lot of the draws I noticed. I don't know if it was done on purpose, but a lot of the draws in Europe, the Italians were all put down one side of the draw. I think we had Real Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, and Man City all in one side of the draw, and then on the other side we had all 3 Italian teams. So maybe they did just get a little bit lucky, but I did predict that no Italian team's going to win a European trophy, and so far I'm right because Roma lost. AD, just for you, just one final question before we finish. What's your plans for the future, mate, and what are you going to try and do in football, and what's your next steps?
Well, I'm currently a sport and exercise psychologist in training. That's a 3-year journey. I'm a year and a half in, so I've got another year and a half left. When I finish that, I can then register with the HPC over here to become a recognised sort of sport and exercise psychologist. Plan is to continue what I'm doing, working with clubs. So the last year I did sort of a lot of voluntary work with several different clubs. Then looking at sort of getting more full-time work and sort of paid work within the area. trying to stick in football for now because it's sort of my background, but I would like to venture sort of into the psychological side of other sports, and sort of working in other sports and other areas.
Amazing, mate. And one final thing, if you ever fancy a trip out to Australia, mate, you let me know. We've got some really good players over there. I think they'd benefit from having you out for a week or two. So if you're keen to come and join us, mate, in the next 12 months, I'd love to bring it over for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That'd be amazing, mate. Well, thank you very much, AD Brawn, for joining us, and all our listeners are going to love watching this one back. So a big thank you to AD, and a big thank you to all our followers and listening and tuning in today.
Mist Air Conditioning and Mechanical Services is one of Geelong's premier domestic air conditioning companies. The company is a venture by the directors of a major commercial mechanical services company which has over 45 years combined experience in the air conditioning sector all over Australia. Our service and vast industry connections will ensure that Mist AC will not only be competitive in price, it will also get you, the client, ongoing service needs for your home or office. With the 7-year guarantee on all our workmanship, you can rest assured you will never be left out in the cold. Whether you are renovating or building your new family home, Mist can provide all types of ducted, split or reverse cycle air conditioning for your environment. We offer a total solution suitable to your family's needs. To find out more, visit our website at www.misthc.com.au or email us at info@misthc.com.au or call us now on 5278 6478. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, proudly powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show and brought to you by our major sponsor, Euro Football Star. That was a compelling interview that in the global game with ADRIAN BRAWN, AD Brawn, and he had some very, very good messages there to tell all levels of footballers, but particularly young footballers. It's time now for the local game, and we're going to go through the news desk right now. So stay tuned, folks. So what has been making news, and quite a fair bit over the last weekend. But before we do that, let's have a look at the Media Watch side of things. What has been making the papers here locally? Last week, planning for soccer growth, state body commission review to map out way forward for the regions. And that was talk about Football Victoria's new regional review, football review. And we'll be speaking to TIM SANTALUCA, who's the president of the Geelong Rangers Soccer Club, what his thoughts are on that. Very, very fresh. And hopefully that is going to be something that's going to be very consultative, as well as really give the region a voice, because it hasn't had one since Foddy Kiprin was made redundant at Football Victoria just months earlier. Rangers stay positive in relegation fights. Now, that article was on Saturday, in Saturday's edition of the Geelong Advertiser. Both the senior and the women's Rangers teams are struggling at the moment and fighting relegation, but they are optimistic that they can survive. Both the men's coach, Troy Hardy, and the women's coach, Tony Horrocks, both believe that they can do it. And one of those two sides had some good success, in fact, great success over the weekend. Last Tuesday, in the junior sports section, there was double delight for Barwon. We had a full-page pictorial special of a football game, or a series of football games over the weekend at Barwon. And in today's paper, credit to fearless skipper. Rappers State League double earns highest praise from Karaya coach. Well, two of our more active members on the comments section, Santino Mamone and his mate Veshko Bigovic, both from Karaya. They'll be very happy with that article, no doubt. So some Karaya making the news. And why is Karaya making the news? Well, let's find out very shortly. But let's start at the top. We'll start at the NPL Victoria competition, where I'm afraid the news is not good, and it just gets worse and worse for the region's highest ranked men's club, North Geelong. They are sitting at the bottom of the competition standings after 22 rounds in NPL Victoria with 4 rounds to go. They, on the weekend, lost to Dandenong Thunder 6-0. Not a good result at all. That was Saturday night at George Andrews Reserve. This weekend, the Warriors, well, they'll be coming up against another Warriors. It's the Battle of the Warriors when they take on Heidelberg United at Alco Park, 3 p.m. this Saturday. If you can't be there, it will be streamed and you'll be able to hear my voice if you're not already sick of hearing it on so many different podcasts. But yeah, that's happening this coming Saturday. Let's turn our attention now to NPL Victoria 3, where our team, our side from Geelong had a very good result against Nunawading City. Nunawading City are in fifth. We're in fourth position, believe it or not, prior to this. A 1-1 draw against Geelong. Very good result for Geelong, that was. And this week, Geelong once again hit the road, and they travelled to Wilcox Field to take on Boroondara Carey Eagles. Geelong at the moment in second last spot. They will certainly be looking for a win to get them out of the relegation zone. Now, folks, here's some news. Even though both those teams are in precarious positions in the relegation zone, we don't really know at the moment, but there may be hope that they could be saved, and it all depends on the National Second Division. If the National Second Division does kick off next year, and as expected, at least 3 or maybe 4 Victorian clubs get promoted into this new competition, well, there will be a flow-on effect, no doubt. More than likely, clubs will not get relegated. Rather, clubs will get promoted to fill that vacuum, to fill that gap. And at the moment, the 14-team NPL Victoria competition could dwindle down to 9 teams, could dwindle down to 10 teams. And what may happen is we may get 2 or 3 teams getting promoted from NPL 2 to make it a 12 or 14-team competition, in which case none of the teams would get relegated, and hence there'd be a flow-on effect further down and down. There's been no confirmed discussion about that. And in fact, if anyone knows anything in our comments section, please make sure to pop something in the comments section if you've heard of something. And Brenton Ray makes a really good point as well. I'll bring that up. Brenton Ray, the newsman, he's practically a member of the staff here at the Game of Two Halves podcast. It has been confirmed that the NPL 3 game between Boroondara Carey Eagles and Geelong will be live streamed on NPL TV. So, yeah, if you can't get to the game, you'll be able to watch that on the live stream. So, awesome news that with regards to Geelong's game. Now, let's move to State 1. We talked about a good result here. Well, it wasn't a good result. It was a phenomenal result. Corio came up against the very, very difficult mid-table team Upfield, away from home, and returned with a 3-0 win and 3 points. That was an excellent result for Corio Soccer Club. Darcy Rapper, the captain, well, he led by example and scored 2 goals in the first half. A great result there for Corio. This week, Corio hosting Whittlesea Rangers, the team that's currently in 7th place. They won on the weekend, so it would have been a good opportunity for Corio to get closer and closer to that mid-table. But nonetheless, they are in the same amount of points as second last place Banyule, as you can see there by the ladder. And with 5 games remaining in the state leagues, this Saturday is a very, very important game. So if you're not doing anything, or if your team's playing up in Melbourne, head down to Hume Reserve for what should be an absolute humdinger of a game, a big game, a really, really big game. And we wish Corio all the very, very best in their quest to get out of the relegation zone. Geelong Rangers, unfortunately, after having a really good result the previous week, this week they travelled up to Lalor United and unfortunately came away with a 2-1 loss. This week coming, the Rangers host West Vale Olympic. It's going to be a tough one. West Vale Olympic have had an up and down season, but they are in 5th position. And the Rangers, well, if they can get a win here, look, depending on all the other results, they could leapfrog both Altona North and Hoppers Crossing into 9th spot. And wouldn't that be very good? But we'll find out a little bit more about what is happening at Rangers. and what's the mood in the dressing rooms like from President TIM SANTALUCA, who'll be joining us very, very shortly. Now, State League 4, Men's State League 4, is the only division, I guess, that has a Geelong team that, well, will be fighting for a promotion berth. And Surf Coast on the weekend travelled up to the top team, Laverton FC, and from all accounts, it was an absolute thriller. 2-2, John Picack scoring the goals for Surf Coast. If you go onto the Surf Coast Facebook page, they've actually got the highlights of the goals, but it's a tough gig to go to HD Graham Reserve at the best of times, and Laverton FC are just a class unit, and there's only one spot that is allocated to an automatic promotion. The second spot sees the team in this division, and hopefully it will be Surf Coast. They will then contest a promotional playoff spot with the runner-up in the State League 4 Northern Division. The winner of that will then play, I think it's the third placed or third last placed team in State League 3. And if they manage to get through those series of tasks, Surf Coast could be playing next year in State League 3. Now, before we move on to that, before we move on to next week's games, the other game, Bell Park defeated Moonee Ponds United. Well done to Bell Park. That's two wins in a row. Barwon came away from Melbourne City with a 2-2 draw. Those two teams will meet this weekend in what should be a fantastic local derby, a pearler of a local derby. That is at Grovedale Reserve at 3 p.m. this Saturday. So do make sure to get out to Grovedale Reserve. It's going to be a great game, that one. Surf Coast will take on Moonee Valley Knights at Banyule Warrior Reserve. That game's also at 3 p.m, and I do believe the earlier kickoff times due to the Women's World Cup. Now, that's going to be two incredible games. Surf Coast taking on the Moonee Valley Knights in a direct battle for second spot. The Coasters, well, a draw will still keep them in second spot by virtue of that far superior goal difference. But what they need to do, obviously, here is really distance themselves away from the Moonee Valley Knights. After this round, there'll be only 4 matches to go, so every game is almost like a grand final for these sides. Moving along to the last of the men's State League competitions, men's State League 5. Unfortunately, a clean sweep of losses. Balmoral defeated Surfside Waves 2-0 to continue their unbeaten stretch at the top of the standings, but a very good effort by the Surfside Waves to keep the competition leaders just to a 2-0 result. West Point defeated Deakin University 1-0, and West Point also are doing very, very well at the top there. The big surprise and the big shock, Bendigo City absolutely annihilated Lara United 6-0. Lara United obviously don't like travelling there. Not sure what happened there, but Lara United has had a very topsy-turvy season this year. 8 wins, 2 draws and 6 losses, and certainly that's a game they would rather forget. So they move on to next week where, in fact, Lara have the bye, but Tana United will host Surfside Waves, while the Deakin Ducks will host Bendigo City. Both those games are at 3 p.m. We're going to take a very, very short break, a very quick break. When we return, we'll be then looking at the women's competition as well as the local leagues. Don't go away, folks. We've got 2 great guests coming on a little bit later on as well. TIM SANTALUCA, the president of Geelong Rangers. And after that, NATALIE PICAK, who is only an 18-year-old goalkeeper who started off playing football 5 years ago at junior level and has now risen astronomically to play in the NPLW competition, the highest statewide competition for women in Victoria. Folks, don't go away. Part 2 of the news desk coming up. As the first solar tube skylight installer in Victoria, Scotsco Skylighting has nearly 30 years of experience and offers a variety of services including custom-made skylights, high-quality Velux skylights, and a variety of solar tube daylighting systems. The benefits of having the skylight in your home are many. They let natural light into your space, and with that light comes solar heat, improving your mood and even helping with performance in workplaces. Plus, heating your home with sunlight can save on heating costs during the chilly seasons. Cosmetic changes like skylights can add equity into your home, and similar to adding mirrors on the walls, skylights can make a room feel bigger and more spacious. It's about time you enjoyed all these benefits plus more. So what are you waiting for? To get a free daylight assessment and installation quote, call our founder and owner Adrian Begg on 0409 823 177 or visit our website at www.scotsgoskylights.com.au. Scotsgo Skylighting is proudly Geelong owned and operated. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, and it's part 2 of the news desk. Let's whiz through this and then let's get to our guests tonight. So straight away to the women's VPL. And by the way, over the weekend with our VPL and State League sides, our women's team, our 4 women's teams recorded 2 wins and 2 losses. Geelong Galaxy, a bit of a surprise. They hosted Spring Hills at Hume Reserve on Sunday. And then what happened was, it was 2 goals to 3, or 3-2. And, Spring Hills came away with the win, and it was not what Geelong Galaxy wanted. But Galaxy, they at the moment maintain that mid-table position. They take on Melbourne Uni this week. Even a loss will still keep them in 6th spot by virtue of that unbelievable goal difference. They've scored a lot of goals. In fact, they're equal top goal scorers in the competition, and it's largely due to their 2 Japanese imports. A great result there as far as their goal scoring is. But yeah, they'll be looking for a great result this weekend when they do take on Melbourne University. That's at Princess Park at 3 p.m. Then the State League 1 competition, the Women's State League 1. 2 wins and 1 loss. North Geelong defeated Lara United 1-0 at Alco Park in the big local derby. But the big result was Geelong Rangers at Myers Reserve came out 4-1 winners over Mill Park. That is an unbelievable result, a fantastic result. And although it doesn't get the Rangers out of the relegation zone, because Craigieburn City again won this weekend, so I think they've won 4 on the trot or thereabouts. It certainly does get them closer and closer to safety, but they've got a big job ahead of them, big task ahead of them with 6 rounds remaining. Turning our attention now to the local competition, and let's have a look at, first of all, at the men's competition. And this was the round 11, I should say. The first game was played on Friday night, where Bell Park absolutely thumped Bowen Heads 8-0. Then the rest of the games, all 3 of them, were played on the Sunday. We had Surf Coast defeating Bowen Blue 2-1 at Grovedale Reserve. Armstrong United defeated Geelong Rangers 4-1 at the Armstrong Creek Sporting Oval. And then FC Leopold also came away from Grovedale Reserve with a 1-0 win over Barwon White. Breakwater Eagles had the bye. So there are the standings there. After the completion of round 11, Bell Park, Surf Coast, FC Leopold jump into the top 4, and Barwon Blue making up the top 4, followed by Armstrong United, Breakwater Eagles, Barwon White, Geelong Rangers, and Bowen Heads on the bottom of the competition standings. This week, we've got all 4 games being played on Sunday. Geelong Rangers will have the bye, but Bowen Heads host Barwon White, Surf Coast taking on Breakwater Eagles, FC Leopold taking on Armstrong United at Estuary Reserve, and Barwon Blue at home to Bell Park. That should be a good clash. That one, a top 4 game between those 2 sides. Moving along now to the women's competition, certainly last but not least, round 2. Remember, this is the league was split at the halfway mark of the season, so this is our Division 1. And then round 2 results saw Deakin Ducks Black maintain their 100% record at the top of the competition standings with a 2-0 win over Surfside Waves. Surf Coast did the same by defeating Armstrong United 2-1. Drysdale travelled to Lara Recreation Reserve from one end of the city of Greater Geelong to the other end, and came away with a 5-2 win in a very, very high-scoring game. And then Barwon defeated Bell Park in a very good game at the Bell Park Sports Club, 1-0. That game was played Saturday evening. And as you can see, Deakin Ducks Black now are on top, along with Barwon and Surf Coast. All those three teams have won their opening two games, and Drysdale making up the top four. This weekend, we see Armstrong United taking on Lara United. All these games are on Saturday. Surf Coast at home to Deakin Ducks Black. That should be a really good game. Basically, the battle for top spot. Drysdale hosting Bell Park, and then Barwon at home to Surfside Waves. And they are all of our results in. And that brings us to the end of the news desk. We had a lot of games to get through, a lot of action to get through, but certainly lots happening in the world of local football. Folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we do return, it's going to be time for our very, very first guest, who is the president of the Geelong Rangers Soccer Club, Tim Santaluca. Folks, don't go away. Mist Air Conditioning and Mechanical Services is one of Geelong's premier domestic air conditioning companies. The company is a venture by the directors of a major commercial mechanical services company which has over 45 years combined experience in the air conditioning sector all over Australia. Our service and vast industry connections will ensure that Mist AC will not only be competitive in price, it will also get you, the client, ongoing service needs for your home or office. With a 7-year guarantee on all our workmanship, you can rest assured you will never be left out in the cold. Whether you are renovating or building your new family home, Mist can provide all types of ducted, split or reverse cycle air conditioning for your environment. We offer a total solution suitable to your family's needs. To find out more, visit our website at www.misthc.com.au or email us at info@misthc.com.au or call us now on 5278 6478. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. It is the local game segment, and one of our strategies this year has been to take the local game globally, and I guess we're managing to do that because we've even got someone from Thailand tuning in who must be on holidays. Big shout out to Ivan Kovachev, who is out in Thailand, but he still manages to tune into the Game of Two Halves podcast. I hope you are sitting next to a beach and sipping, or next to a pool and sipping on something nice and cold, Ivan. Yes, it's time now, folks, to welcome our second guest of the night, and it is a huge welcome to our to the Geelong Rangers Soccer Club president, Tim Santaluca. Tim, good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you. How are you?
Thank you, Tonchi. I'm well.
Mate, great to have you on the show, and thank you for joining us. And before we get to, I guess we're going to talk about the club as a whole and your recent appointment as president and the team's performance on the weekend. But, mate, tell us about this heinous act of vandalism that has happened, and it's not, unfortunately, the first time.
No, it's the second time. The first time the wires were cut, the copper cable was cut to the lights, and they stripped the cables out of the pits and the ground, and it took quite a few weeks to repair. On this occasion, they came in early, cut the connectors, cut the cables on every pit, threw away the connectors, as you saw by them lying near the trees there. And we believe they plan to come back the next night to strip the copper out. On this situation, though, we had security on site, and they remain on site overnight just in case they feel the need to come back. The great news is that we were able to restore the lights on Saturday to pitch 2 and 3, and this afternoon we've got pitch 1 back on deck.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is good news to hear, but it is really annoying. And look, when I heard about this over the weekend, and I was speaking to a few people just from various clubs, everyone's just disgusted. It really, really is, and it's the fact that it's happened to a sporting club. And look, it's unfortunate because Myers Reserve is quite isolated at night, and obviously whoever it is, they've meticulously planned this out. And going forward, I mean, it's a costly exercise now to have security around the clock and all the time. But is the council? I mean, it is a council venue. Is the council doing anything to prevent this from happening in the future? Is there extra locks, or is there anything that they can do to stop this happening?
Yes, look, the council's been fantastic in getting the lights back online. We've had a few conversations with the relative managers about what we could do to perhaps improve surveillance at the site. It is extremely isolated up there, and you can get onto any corner of the pitch from numerous paddocks that surround us. There aren't really any residences, so it's the situation we're in. But look, surveillance might help. Yes, security is very costly, but at this stage, council's been the one to organise that. I think we have for one or two nights as well.
Excellent. Well, it is good news, and hopefully it won't happen again. But yeah, there's some crazy people around town. But talking about crazy times, I guess, if you like. Let's talk about the weekend. It's as we know, both the senior men's and senior women's teams are struggling at the moment. But it was a good result for the women's. And let's look at the women's result first. Three wins, 3 points over Mill Park. That must have done a world of good for the confidence of the women.
It certainly did. Look, our team were very successful to get through undefeated at State 3, and then invited into State 1 was a decision that was very well pondered over. Should we, shouldn't we? Do we have the support? You know, there are additional answers and questions with where we are now.
Yep.
Personally, I think we've definitely got the talent. Playing in the Nike Cup did a bit of damage to a few of our key players, and that's carried on from that time. They've played again, then they've been hurt again. So that would be the main reason why we've struggled. But we pretty well had the full squad on the pitch on Sunday, and it was a real shock to Mill Park. And it became a bit of a physical game. There were a pile of yellow cards for our opposition. But look, we got there in the end, and the girls are really happy.
Yeah, so obviously it makes a difference having the team that's on the park that is near full strength, and so the ability's there, the quality's there. It's just a matter of some of those injuries. And I know, speaking to Tony Horrocks last week, he was lamenting the fact some of those injuries. Bridget McDiarmid, I think, was out the whole season, and she was such a key player last year, and there were other players that have been out for multiple weeks, and then several players that were out, in between as well. So it's been a real struggle to get the same team on the pitch twice. In fact, I think he actually said he hasn't been able to do so all season.
But we were very fortunate in that head of football, Fadi Kiprian's with us. Tony's fantastic. Ivan, who's holidaying in Thailand.
So that's why he's cute. That's why
Ivan's with us as well, and Gordon. We've got exceptional coaches, and they're very committed. And that's really helped the development of our women's squads.
Now, a question about Ivan. How was he allowed to take a mid-season holiday break, and of all places to Thailand, where it's a lot warmer than here? Is he going to get reprimanded, or is he going to have to buy drinks for the week he comes back, or something like that at the bar?
Well, I don't know. I was at training one night, and he said, "I'll be away for 2 weeks. I'm going to Thailand," and by then it's too late to do anything. So he left. It's a well-earned break.
Yeah, no, maybe to recharge his batteries, and that's fair enough. Turning our attention to the senior men, it's a very young squad. It's a very, I won't say inexperienced squad, because they've got a lot of experience playing at various levels of football, including NPL juniors as well. But it's just a young team, and Troy Hardy, one of the co-coaches, was saying it's to try to get the players to gel together. Especially young players, is very difficult. But that's not the result. That's not the one we're wanting. We're wanting this ladder. Mm-hmm. That's better. There's hope there. They've got a game in hand against Mill Park, and that's always a good game against Mill Park. 1 point behind Altona North, 2 points behind Hoppers Crossing. And interestingly, the week before, Rangers, I think, defeated Altona North and leapfrogged them, and now Altona North have leapfrogged Geelong Rangers. What's the feeling amongst the lads? Is there a sense of optimism that we can do it, or are they just sort of reserved to the fact that it's going to be a tough league and we're probably more than likely going to be relegated?
Look, I don't think optimism would be the word. They are 100% committed.
Mm-hmm.
The gelling is a bit of an issue because Geelong Rangers over the last 4 or 5 years have had a large amount of youth and a smaller or a dwindling amount of experience. And that middle ground is where we haven't been able to pick up players. But I think Geelong Rangers has always been a great developer of youth and juniors. And they've gone to clubs like North Geelong, etc., and on from there as well, which is great. As for where we sit, we've got the talent. We just need to win the games. And last weekend, I was at the game. It was a shock loss. It really was. Shouldn't have happened. Did happen. We played a game where we had 2 red cards, 9 players on the pitch, 2-0 down, and we still managed to pull a draw out of it. So I don't know, but we do rotate a lot of players through reserves to seniors back to reserves. As I said, a lot of youth, and we need a bit more experience, a bit more training, and it'll be great. Future's good.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the future. There's a famous name up there who's at the moment the leading goal scorer in the senior team, young Jordan Savinsky, the son of Adrian Savinsky, a famous name in Geelong football circles. He's scored 5 goals at the moment from 11 games. Not a bad strike rate at all, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more goals from him and from some of the other lads up there as well. Wishing them all the very, very best. About 6 weeks ago, 2 months or thereabouts, whatever, the previous president, Lisa Brooks, unfortunately decided to step down, and you were appointed, Tim, as the president. What's your vision for the club? Have any other new players come onto the committee alongside after your appointment? And what can you see happening at the Rangers over the next, say, 12 to 24 months?
Well, from a committee perspective, we're pretty well 6 females, 6 males. We aimed for that balance.
Mm-hmm.
The contribution by everybody in the committee is spectacular. The delegation has worked out exceptionally well. Everyone has a task to do, and they're fully owning their roles, including particularly Pete Bradley as a junior coordinator for the boys, Lisa Williamson, Mini Roos coordinator, exceptional, and Martin Brandwick and Michelle Ball share the junior women's coordinator. So it's been fantastic. It's been fun. It's been great. For the future at the club, we want to continue to improve the facilities. We want to focus on our junior development further, which we are doing again through Pete and the Metro squads, our Metro program and pathway. We'd also want to maintain our culture and our reputation as a good all-round family club.
Yeah, there was. I know we've spoken in the past about the Myers Reserve, a master plan precinct. What's the latest with regard to that? Is it still kind of in the planning consultative phase, or has it moved one step forward?
It has been adopted by council now with a minor alteration. Originally, I think the officers wanted to put the club rooms at the end between a potential new pitch and pitch 1, which wouldn't have been at the central position, wouldn't have been optimal. There was an amendment moved by Anthony Aiken, who supported our members and our club to put it where we thought it would be best for us. Our co-tenants at Myers Reserves are fantastic. The cricket club, the football club, netball, everyone's been vocal with council saying that no, it's Geelong Rangers' turn and it's their time to have a new facility, and they've supported that, which, it's fantastic to have good co-tenants.
And so the new club rooms, would that be just where the existing club rooms are, or built onto that, or will they be demolished and erected there, or will they be moved to another in between?
No, the existing club rooms and change rooms would be demolished. That would become additional car parking. The new club rooms would be between the football oval and the soccer pitch 1.
Yep.
So, and you know, with the dream of having an all-weather pitch there, and I think there's a further plan down the track with the development, perhaps residential subdivision behind that, that the developer would contribute to public open space and create a new football oval then for the football club.
Wow, fantastic. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Now, last week, Football Victoria came out with the news that they were launching a regional football review, that they've engaged an outside body, an independent body to undertake this and the consulting process. Do you know much about it? Do you know when and if the Geelong football community will be consulted? Have the clubs been consulted?
Good question. If it's the review that I think you're talking about, there is a document out there that all of the clubs have had an input into, and it's at the next stage, which I'm pretty sure the council will be reviewed on that document as well to see that it fits within their plans. And reported, of course.
Yeah. Do you hold much hope that things will change? Or do you think it will be just pretty much, a document that's produced that, Football Federation or Football Victoria won't really take into account? They're kind of renowned for not listening to their constituents. I'm going to say that because I'm not involved with Football Victoria. But that's the criticism from a lot of people. And they're saying that the Geelong football community has been let down and somewhat forgotten by Football Victoria. You've got to probably watch what you say, but is that what a lot of Rangers people feel about Football Victoria with regards to the Geelong football community?
Look, again, if it's the document I'm thinking of, Football Victoria have been involved with it, as have the local clubs, and I'm confident that everyone's agreed to what's in that document, and it will get released publicly for everyone else to have a comment on as well. In regards to Football Victoria letting the region down, there's concern with obviously the expansion of the area that's under governance by Football Victoria with the local rep, but he has assured the Geelong clubs that he will be in attendance and available as much as was Foddy as before. So, I mean, the regions that we've been expanded into are nominal anyway, not with large football communities or leagues or teams anyway. So I don't think that will be largely affected in the Geelong region.
Okay, that's good to hear. And it is called the Regional Football Review. There is a press release on Football Victoria's website saying Football Victoria recognises the need for a comprehensive regional football review to ensure our game is played, administered and developed in the most effective and efficient manner possible across the state. So Solucio is the independent organisation which will be running or which will be doing the consultative process. Tim, thank you so much for joining us tonight. There's good news obviously on the horizon with regards to the facility up at Myers Reserve, both with regards to the copper wiring and also the master plan. And certainly we wish you all the very, very best as far as the senior men's and senior women's team. And we certainly know the juniors are just going absolutely bonkers, the numbers. But one final question. With the Women's World Cup starting this week, and obviously there's going to be unprecedented interest and demand for the sport. And unfortunately, it's just that it will be finishing just as the local season here is finishing. But do you think it's going to have a big roll-on effect particularly for next year as far as numbers of kids wanting to play, particularly girls? And part two of that question, are we as a community, as a region, ready for that anticipated explosion in interest?
I think that the region is ready for that. I think most grounds still do have available time slots for training and for players or teams. We've certainly got the ability to host more teams and more female players. So yeah, we've got a few open slots at the moment with our pitch allocation. The biggest challenge is always going to be coaches and coaches qualified to be able to develop the youth properly. So yes, it's always a hunt for a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciated it and love chatting to you. And like I said, all the very, very best for the rest of the year indeed and for the foreseeable future for Geelong Rangers.
Thank you, Tonchi.
Good on you. Tim SANTALUCA, the president of Geelong Rangers. Well, we've gone over the hour mark and we've still got a lot to cover tonight. We've got an interview with a young lass named NATALIE, I'm told Pichak, not Pitzak. She's coming up straight after this. And then immediately after that, the big announcement. It may be good, it may be bad. It's one of those glass half full, glass half empty ways of looking at things, but it is quite a major announcement, and it has got to do with regards to the actual podcast, the Game of Two Halves podcast. Stay tuned, folks. Coming up is our third guest straight after this. As the first solar tube skylight installer in Victoria, Scotsco Skylighting has nearly 30 years of experience and offers a variety of services including custom-made skylights, high-quality Velux skylights, and a variety of solar tube daylighting systems. The benefits of having a skylight in your home are many. They let natural light into your space, and with that light comes solar heat, improving your mood and even helping with performance in workplaces. Plus, heating your home with sunlight can save on heating costs during the chilly seasons. Cosmetic changes like skylights can add equity into your home, and similar to adding mirrors on the walls, skylights can make a room feel bigger and more spacious. It's about time you enjoyed all these benefits plus more. So what are you waiting for? To get a free daylight assessment and installation quote, call our founder and owner Adrian Begg on 0409 823 177 or visit our website at www.scotscoskylights.com.au. Scotsco Skylighting is proudly Geelong owned and operated.
Guys, stunning save there by Pichak. Iamano, opportunity for her to cross in the ball. And Wise is there, but great save there from Pichak. Or was that just an incorrect placement there from Wise?
That's half the thing. You know, do we talk about the football gods, and if you don't take those chances, will it come and bite you in the butt later on? And I feel like it has.
Into the box. Bounce doesn't favour Christensen, but South Melbourne still hold on, and an opportunity there. And Pichak again, she's low, but it's an important save there. On the edge of the box, decides not to hit it first time, still goes again, and Pichak, impressive all evening and impressive again. Stands up tall for the save. South Melbourne throwing everything they can at her this evening. Ball. Wise from distance. And it's the safe hands of NATALIE Pichak. And Westland goes low. And how on earth has Pichak kept that one out? And oh my goodness. South Melbourne are cursed tonight, or Calder.
It got them back on level terms.
Pickett. Unfavourable bounce by Stern, but again.
You know, that's the ones that do go in. The one that ricochet off your own player.
And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Calder United's goalkeeper in the NPL women's competition and Geelong's very own NATALIE Pichak. Now, it's Pichak, not Pichak, as the commentator said. Is that right, Nat?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, welcome to the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered here by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the board. And how are you on this fine Monday?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you. How about you?
Very good, thanks. Very good. Really excited to be able to catch up with you and have a chat. Let's talk about Calder United. You're playing for the Calder United in the women's NPL, the NPLW competition. We'll bring the ladder up while we're speaking. Kind of a middle of the road sort of a season, sitting there in sixth spot. But you're only 1 point away from fourth place Box Hill United with a game in hand. And look, it's going to be quite an interesting sort of a culmination of the NPL women's competition. But how have you seen this year? This is your first year breaking into senior ranks, is it?
Yep. Yes, it is.
And how have you found the league and the competition? And remembering it is a newly expanded format this year as well.
Yeah, Yeah, it's been great to play senior football finally. And the girls from Calder are really supportive, very easygoing, and the coaching staff's amazing, like very supportive as well. And yeah, because of the game last night, how we won 6-0, like we've gone up to 4th place now, which is awesome.
Yeah, if we put that ladder back up there so people can see as well. Yeah, that's a great result. And you just, like I said, 1 point out of the top 4. 6-0 win over Heidelberg, and they're no easy beats, and managing to keep a clean sheet. And we saw by that little bit of video footage of a previous game, the standard's quite high, but you seem to be really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it. Like, yeah, all those like hard balls, they're very quick, but being able to save it is also a really good ego booster as well. Helps the girls out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about your early beginnings. How did you first get into soccer? And let's take a look back at where it all began.
Yeah, well, my soccer journey started when I was 13, and one of my friends from school asked if I'd be interested in playing as a goalkeeper at the North Geelong Women, the under-14s girls team.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I went to goals, I just felt really comfortable, confident, and the girls were really supportive. Along with my coaches, Frank Simovic and Ivan Herzeg, they were always encouraging me and always pushing me to do my best.
Yeah.
And Vlada Jokic at the time, when he was club president, he was also really encouraging us girls to push ourselves to do our best and most importantly, enjoy football. And the girls in the team were also really amazing, like just encouraging each other. And we won that season, which is great. We won the league.
And what level was that? What age group was that?
Under 14s.
Under 14s, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, a lot of those girls are probably now moved into breaking into senior football. You're included in amongst all that. And Vlada, who then was the president, is now heavily involved coaching in the women's side of things. So it really, it's great to see the development, not just, with yourself, but, across the board there as well. Then let's talk about the next phase. So obviously you were a late bloomer to the sport, which is quite inspirational for a lot of people out there wanting to take up the sport, and they've decided in their teen years, let's try something different. But you obviously, everyone around you started seeing that you had a talent. You had talent as a goalkeeper. And what happened then? You then started to move to other clubs, to other levels, getting extra coaching. Take us through that period and how that all came about.
Yeah, so basically after I started with North Geelong Warriors, I trialled at Geelong Galaxy and played there for a season with them, which was a good experience since it was in NPL league.
And what age group was that?
That was under 16s and under 14s.
Mm-hmm.
And then helping out under 19s as well, which is good. And then after that, Galaxy nominated me to trial at NTC, which I got accepted and play with them for 2 years in the under 16s comp as well, and 19s. Then after that season, I played at South Melbourne or under 19s, and then got asked to trial at Calder for the senior women's second goalkeeper. After that, then my goalkeeper coach, saw my potential and gave me opportunity to play the senior game. And I made it my own.
Well, how old were you at that point? Like, when did you start to? When did you make your senior debut? At what age?
18.
Oh wow, excellent. So in the space of 5 years, you've gone from not playing the sport to all of a sudden playing at senior level and being recognised by the NTC, the Football Victoria Talent program there as well. Playing at an NPLW club like South Melbourne, after having gone on to Galaxy from North Geelong. That's amazing. That is such an astronomical ride.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a training.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this week the Women's World Cup kicks off, and I just don't know if Australia understands how big this is. This is going to be massive. But what about you, Nat? Are you excited about the Women's World Cup being on our shores?
Yeah, I'm really excited, especially after watching the friendly against France. I think it's going to be a great World Cup.
Did you go to the game?
Yeah, I did. It was an amazing atmosphere.
Yeah, like 50,000 people, record breaker until Thursday. That is when the new record's going to be set. But how like looking at the women, looking at the Matildas, I should say, How far do you think they can get in this tournament? Can they go to the very end?
I reckon they've got a really good chance on the World Cup, and since it's on their home soil, I've got really good hopes for them to make it through to the final, especially with all the supporters backing them. I think it's going to be a really good one.
Yeah, speaking of supporters, I think it was great to see, like, I know on my social media platforms, there was a lot of people that went along on Friday, and from all different clubs, and it wasn't just girls, it wasn't just junior girls, there were junior boys, there were senior men, senior women, and they've really, like, the footballing public has embraced the Matildas and the World Cup, which is great to see. But in your opinion, what do you think is what's the World Cup going to do for soccer, for football in this country as a whole? Do you think it's going to leave a major legacy? And what might that legacy be? What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's currently growing at the moment as well, just without the World Cup, which is great. I'm just hoping it will slowly encourage girls and boys to try and pick up the sport, and if they like it, go for it.
What about from personal experience? Do you think there's enough opportunity to move to, if you're ambitious like you were, to move to the next level and to be identified, to play at a higher level and progress, as well as there's that other side of people just wanting to participate just for social? Yeah. Do we cater for all levels at the moment, particularly with women's football?
At the moment, we're slowly getting there with more teams coming in, which is good. Like, especially this next year coming, there's 2 teams coming up into the NPL system, which is great. Then after a few more years, there's also going to be more teams, which will help local people, local boys and girls, to finally trial out and see if they like it. Would
you like to see a Geelong team eventually get there, whether it's Galaxy or North Geelong or Lara or Rangers in State 1 at the moment?
It'd be great. I would love that, yeah.
It would be good, yeah. Now, you've come up from the ranks from, as we said, it's been an astronomical rise from juniors to seniors. And look, now you're playing in the highest league in the state, which is quite remarkable. How far do you want to go with your own football? And let's say, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years? How old are you now? You're not
18. Yeah.
18. Yeah. So how far do you want to see yourself, say, in 10 years' time when you're 28?
Yeah. I want to continue playing senior football and keep pushing myself, hopefully making it to the A-League Women's, and just continue to play the highest football I can possibly play. Yeah,
absolutely. Fantastic. Now, what would be your advice to any young mini Roos player, under 7 through to under 11 player, pardon me, boy or girl, wanting to get to the next level, and that has started in the same way that you have? Any words of advice?
I recommend setting yourself goals, setting new challenging goals to keep yourself going. Always have fun and enjoy football. Find yourself a club with a good junior program that will help you progress and support you on your journey, which is good.
What sort of, when you say goals, what sort of goals? Is it particular? What sort of goals did you set yourself along the way that might be different to the everyone says set yourself goals, but what was some of the goals specific to you?
Yeah, some goals would be okay, this game I would love to keep a clean sheet. Or this game I want to focus on, say, getting up quicker, or clean hands. That's the type of goals I want to set for myself.
Yeah, so it's not just goals of, I want to play in the A-League, or I want to play in the English Premier League one day. It's actually realistic, attainable goals that you set yourself along the way. Yeah, fantastic. Nat, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to following your development, following your further progression up the ranks. But to have gone from not playing the game or just starting the game to playing now at the highest level in the state, that's quite amazing. And in only 5-6 years, that's even more amazing. So wishing you all the best, and thank you for joining us on the Game of Two Halves podcast.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Tonchi.
All the best. Take care. That was NATALIE PICAK. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, and it is time for the big announcement. And what is it, you would say? Well, unfortunately, we've had fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, we've had a fantastic sponsor this year, the Euro Football Star, who have stepped up. And if it wasn't for Euro Football Star, this season, if we had to come out, it would have been an absolute struggle. And they signed on to do for the whole season. But unfortunately, at the halfway mark of the season, that sponsorship deal will be no more. Will cease as of next Monday. So the 15th episode of the final of the year will be the last one that the Euro Football Star will be sponsoring this show. It's unfortunate, but times are tough, times are difficult, and we understand the financial situation that a lot of businesses in Australia find themselves under for various reasons. And this is a sports program. We'll keep the sports going and not too much about the politics. But unfortunately, as a result of, I guess, tough times, Euro Football Star will be ending their sponsorship agreement with the Game of Two Halves podcast, which really is the Geelong Region Soccer Show, as of next week, which means we would ideally love to have got to 30 episodes, and that was the plan this year. And next week would have been the halfway mark of the season. But we'll be trying to at least limp through to the 25 episode mark. That means another 10 episodes. But to do that, we really need the full support of the Geelong region community. And really, it then comes up to it's a case of then, is the Geelong region community wanting something like this type of forum, something like this type of show? We need your support. Clubs, you can sponsor us. You can sponsor us for an episode and become an episode sponsor, and your club will be the featured club in focus. We've done that for 4 years, and this is the 5th year that we'll be looking at doing that as well, trying to get clubs to sponsor us. So clubs have reached out and asked, how can we help become an episode sponsor? Businesses, we need businesses. And there are 2 ways that a business can support. Today, we had some great business sponsors, Mist Heating and Cooling and Scotsco Skylights. Unfortunately, their little advertising reign is coming to an end. They've been absolutely fantastic. But, as of next week and the week after, we need new advertisers that are going to advertise each week. And we also are on the lookout for a major sponsor to pick up, I guess, the slack that Euro Football Star will be leaving as of the 15th episode. So episode 16 through to episode 25, or ideally through to episode 30, we would like to attract a major sponsor. So how can you get in touch with us? Drop us a line via private message through our Facebook page, the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Send us an email, communitysport@gmail.com, communitysportsmedia@gmail.com. And have we got a I'm just looking if we've got an email there that we can send it through. As you can see, I am a little bit flustered because it was a bit of a shock, unfortunately. But nonetheless, as I said, glass half full way of looking at things. It's now over to you folks, the Geelong Region football community. If you want to support the show, if you want to support this forum, because no other forum like this exists, then it will be a case of you'll jump on board, whether it's your club, whether it's your business, or as individuals, you can become a member of the show. And we saw that email address down the bottom of the ticker. Otherwise, we pack up, we all go our separate ways, and it's a case of thanks for the memories. Hopefully, it won't be a case of that. Hopefully, we will have full support from the Geelong football community. On that note, on that somewhat real sombering note, if you like, thank you for all your support up until now. We will see you next Monday night at 8 p.m. and the Women's World Cup kicks off this weekend. And do go out and watch a community football game this weekend, regardless of what level it is. Good night, and thank you for all your support up until now, and hopefully in the future as well. Bye-bye.